Since you are reading this book, you must either be a student or a teacher. This particular section is to help you set the stage to maximize the benefit you'll get from reading the remaining 12 chapters of this book on the various 12 subjects. For students, these chapters on various subjects will help you understand, find motivation, and develop interest in your chosen subjects. Eventually, this will lead to a stronger desire to pursue those subjects and a willingness to dedicate time and effort in your studies. By reading those chapters, you will find the motivation required to give up procrastination, excessive mobile usage, and other time wasters. The main reason you engaged in those unproductive activities was because you could not find the joy in the process of studying. That was because the way you approached your desired subject was not attuned to your four brain quadrant mix like the one we discussed earlier. For teachers, these upcoming 12 chapters will remain your secrets. You don't have to tell your head of department or principal that you have consulted this book and made your teachings based on the four brain quadrants learning approach. These 12 chapters will provide you the full range of tools or weaponry, whichever analogy suits you better, to inspire, motivate, attract students to understand what you are teaching and to score highest possible marks in the exams. The problem up till now had been that you were explaining your particular subject the way you were taught or the way the syllabus dictated you. As I've been mentioning it many times throughout this book, the syllabus itself is based on one brain learning approach, or we can even directly say it is based on the scale brain quadrant or blue quadrant brain. This is where you as a teacher lost the attention of your students. As we discussed just earlier, some students have a very poorly developed scale brain quadrant, but a highly developed wisdom brain quadrant or information brain quadrant or knowledge brain quadrant. Consequently, the approach of directly going into the skills needed for that subjects and the data, figures, and terminology that needed to be memorized in order to go to the higher level in that subject served as a villain in their minds. That skill based approach didn't make any sense to them, and it was almost some kind of antithesis for them. In fact, you can go as far as to say that they did not hate your subject, and certainly they did not hate you. They just hated being taught as if they were predominated by the skill brain quadrant or the blue quadrant or the lower left brain quadrant. It would be like a girl being treated forcefully like a boy, even though it's obvious she's a girl, but the other person is blind to her gender. Yes, it's as bad when you are a wisdom brain quadrant person and everything that they are teaching you is from the skill brain quadrant approach. It's almost infuriating, if not frustrating. So, the remaining part of this book will provide the teachers the full arsenal of approaches that will enable them to teach any kind of students. Mind you, I'm not talking about personality types or character traits, temperaments here. I'm talking about the cognitive preferences of students based on the forebrain learning approach. In this book, I'm not going to cover the leadership aspect of teaching that I would be doing in some of the books some other day. No, in this book, I am just providing you content on what you believe you are the expert in. This is where I might lose you. But nonetheless, I have to say it. The problem with teachers is that most of them are predominated by the skill brain quadrant. For them, it was a match made in heaven. The system was designed by skill brain quadrant people into a system that only taught in the same blue quadrant approach. What resulted in is that the teachers began to think that they were the masters or expert in that particular subject because, well, they knew all the skills, the data, the terminology in that subject. They could put a tick mark in all the boxes in the syllabus of that subject. They scored A plus or A. That ego got into their head. It was hard for them to learn and master the subjects. But what was going on well for them was that the game was rigged in their favor or in the image of themselves that I already explained. However, they thought that they were the best, and that's the only way. That is to learn the skills, memorize the data, be fluent in the jargon. But again, I repeat, their brain was wired to enjoy this skill-based approach of our educational system. It was good as long as they were students that they enjoyed the game of education and honed their skills to the highest level. But when they became teachers, they were faced with 75% of students who are wired differently than them in terms of learning approach or preference. The 25% are like them, and whatever they teach in the way that they had learned themselves, those would understand and consequently would be able to score high marks. But the remaining three-fourths of the students can just take off the ground of ignorance in your subject. This is because they need to learn starting from their dominant brain quadrant. So, in the remaining chapters of this book, both teachers and students will be able to study the 12 subjects using the four approaches that will help tremendously in getting inspired, being motivated, understanding, and scoring high marks. Next, we'll explore the various approaches